Well, welcome back to Wisdom with the Wise Counselor. I'm your host, the Wise Counselor, also known by my birth name. It's simply Lateef. Listen, family, I have missed you. I know it's been a minute since we last connected, and I've been sitting with a lot of thoughts and reflections and revelations during this season of pause. Sometimes the silence between seasons is exactly where the real wisdom is born. Come on now. Can I get an amen? And I knew if I was going to come back, I wanted to come back grounded and intentional and ready to pour from a full cup and a full place and not an empty one. So here we are as we step into season 2. Let me remind you of what this space is all about. Wisdom with the Wise Counselor podcast is all about building emotional resiliency, learning how to live your life on purpose and in purpose and feeling no guilt, shame, or burdens about that, and learning how to nourish your wellness. I'm talking about your mind, your body, and your soul. So today I want to talk about something that may seem small, okay? But it carries a lot of deep meaning. I'm talking about an object today, the seatbelt. Come on now. That simple click that you hear when you get in the car and buckle up. For some, it's automatic. And for others, it's an afterthought. But I believe the way we handle the little things in life, like buckling a seatbelt, reveals what we believe about ourselves, our worth, and our purpose. So, no point intended here. Buckle up, literally and spiritually, if you will, because today we're going to dive deeper into what it really means to protect your peace, preserve your purpose, and prioritize your safety inside and out. I was sitting at a red light not too long ago, and as I was waiting to turn left, I noticed something. Cars passing me by, car after car, turning right in front of me. And because of the angle that I was sitting at the light, I could see right into other people's cars as they were turning. And what caught my attention wasn't the music that they were playing or what they had on their sidewalls or their bumper stickers or whatever. It was the number of people driving without a seatbelt on. And I'm not talking one or two folks, I probably saw 20, maybe 25 cars that passed me in a matter of 30, 45 seconds. And here's what stood out. Almost every woman that I saw had on their safety belt, but only about 1 and maybe 4-ish men were buckled up. And that observation hit me, I sat there thinking, why is it that so many of us neglect the simple things that protect us? For a while, I was one of those people. From about 16 to probably my later 20s, I didn't buckle up consistently. It wasn't that I was rebellious. It was that I just didn't think about it, and I didn't think that it mattered much. But somebody once told me something that changed my perspective forever. When you don't buckle your seatbelt, you're saying that what's in the car, your life, isn't worth protecting. And that statement stopped me cold. This was years ago, because it's true. We secure what we value. We lock our doors at night. We protect our phones with a passcode. We insure our jewelry. We insure our homes, right? We insure our cars. But the body, the vessel that carries our purpose, the mind that fuels our creativity, the heart that holds our love and compassion, we often treat those as optional to protect. I hope you're with me. Come on now. That moment made me realize that self-care isn't just about bubble baths and meditation. It's about responsibility. It's about intentionality and doing what you can to preserve what the universe has placed in your hands. And here's the truth. Most car accidents aren't your fault. I know sometimes people go around not buckling up because they are fully trusting in their abilities to drive and handle a car. But most accidents are actually probably not your fault. They happen because of somebody else's direction or decisions. And that's exactly like life. You can't control every single storm, but you can control whether or not you have prepared for it. So when you buckle up, you're saying, I love me enough to be ready for what is unexpected. You're saying, I take my health and my wellness seriously enough to care about my safety, my future, and my overall well-being. You're saying, I value what I bring to this world. I value the space that I hold in this world. It's a simple fact. Buckling up your seatbelt is a simple act, but it's a sacred one. So family, this is the time of the podcast that I like to call the Wise Counselor Unfiltered. This is where I strip away all the fluff and give you my top 3 real, raw, and honest takeaways from the top of the podcast. The things I really need you to truly hear from my heart. Here's my first one. Number 1, self-love is not a feeling. It's a discipline. It's not about how good you feel about yourself on any given day. It's about the choices that you choose to make and the decisions that you choose to make consistently. You can't claim to love yourself while neglecting yourself, right? Because real love shows up in routine, not emotion. All right, the next one, I want you to think about real, raw, honest moment here. Neglect is still a decision. Did you hear me? Neglect is still a decision. When you choose not to protect yourself and not to rest and not to set boundaries, you're making that choice. And that choice has consequences, right? Avoidance might feel easier today. And I don't know who I'm talking to or what situation you're going to apply this seatbelt theme to in your life, but avoidance might feel easier, but it will cost you deeply tomorrow. And here's my last real, raw, and unfiltered thought for you. Preparation is the purest form of faith. Let me tell you this. We often pray for safety and success and for strength, but faith without preparation is a moot point. It's empty. Buckling up, going to therapy, taking your vitamins, scheduling yourself a checkup with your doctor. These are all ways to say, I'm doing my part in my life. So those are my 3 things I want you to think about. That's the unfiltered truth, family. You can't live a purpose-filled life while living recklessly with the vessel that carries your purpose, and that is you. What are you avoiding, or what habits are you ushering into your own life that help keep you refreshed and sustained? And what are the little things that maybe you have gotten away from that are truly sacred practices that allow you to love yourself and show yourself self-appreciation and show yourself self-love? I'm here to tell you today that buckling a seatbelt again is a simple act, but it carries a lot of weight. It symbolizes the small things that you should be and could be doing for yourself consistently to ensure that you are ready to pour into other people, that you don't get your purpose and your vision of purpose cloudy, and that you protect your mind, your body, and your spirit so that you can be available not only for yourself, but for others, other people who need you. Okay, this part of the podcast, I'm going to start a new kind of part here. This used to simply be, what did I used to call this? Bear with me, I'm going blank. I used to call this, post-podcast homework section, but I'm going to call this new section of the podcast the reflection room. It's going to be a place where we can pause and process and slow down for just a quick second here. So let's just do that. Let's slow it down and step into the reflection room. This is where I want you to take a breath. I want you to grab a journal and really sit with some questions that I'm going to present in this particular part of the podcast. Question 1. What are the small and everyday actions or inactions that reveal how much you truly value yourself? Question 2. Where have you been avoiding basic self-care because it feels inconvenient or even unnecessary? And question number 3. What's one simple act of preparation you can actually commit to this week that protects your peace, your body, or your purpose? And then this next section is going to be a continuation of the reflection room. I know I get into the wise counselor, real, raw, and unfiltered, but I also want to respect and honor my profession. And so this part of the reflection room is going to be some things that I want you to think about from a clinical, mental health, life coaching standpoint, some factors that I want you to really think about based on my training, because I do want to make sure that you can grab something from this, whether it's real, raw, or honest, and it's gritty truth, or if it's clinical, practical, and research-based. I don't know what end of the spectrum my listeners are on, so I'm doing a little bit for everybody. And so hopefully, no matter what part of this podcast you're listening to, and we're finding moments to reflect, if you need that grittiness, listen to The Wise Counselor Unfiltered. If you need more purposeful, easy, and gentle encouragement, affirmations, or knowledge, then listen to this section of the podcast. And so let's get practical for a second. This is where we move from reflection to real work. I want you to think about this. Let's start building micro habits of safety and care. Right? These are some things I want you to think about from a wellness and therapeutic standpoint. You know, it could be as simple as buckling up your seat safety belt, taking medication on time, or keeping a bottle of water filled by your bed or in a bottle that you carry around with you. Remember, these small acts and actions create subconscious messages of self-worth. And from a clinical standpoint, when you have committed and know who you are and are pouring into yourself, there is a safeguard and an automatic boundary that surrounds you. I don't know how to describe that, but when you take pride in something, you respect it, you protect it. And so if you are pouring into your body and you are respecting your vessel and you're doing what you can do to protect your peace and your heart and your physical, your mental and physical stamina and well-being, I guarantee there'll be another fire that is ignited in you to continue that process, right? How often do you try to lose weight? This is just an off the cuff example. You try to lose weight, you try to change your habits, you try to start exercising, and often we fall off that bandwagon, right? Things happen. Life be lifing. But the truth is, you know that you were onto something, because as long as you have a small sense of guilt or regret, even if you recess, that tells you that your mindset is changing, right? So although you may have not met your goal of staying consistent about going to the gym at 5:30 in the morning every week, you know, If you are reflecting on it and there is a moment of pause and maybe light grief that tells you that you are invested in yourself, and that is the kind of energy you have to pour into yourself and acknowledge that failure is not final, right? If you have that inspiration in you, that's enough to restart and re-kick and reassess, if you will, so that you can restart. So build micro habits and think about that. What are the little things you can do? And those hopefully will continue to be the fuel that will allow you to grow bigger and stronger and better and accomplish whatever goal that you had that maybe has flopped. Okay? Here's another thing from a therapeutic and wellness standpoint. I need you to check in with your body. Our bodies tell us when we're not okay, right? Often you can feel tension or fatigue and certainly illness. You know, it doesn't take anybody with a medical degree to know that if you're not feeling well, there's some deeper level of issues going on. Maybe they're surface level and maybe can be resolved with a Tylenol, and maybe they are deep rooted or something going on with something in your neurological issue. I don't know, but I just want to say this. Don't dismiss those signals, right? I want people to hear this. We talk about wellness and mental health all the time. I'm an advocate to let you know that wellness and mental health is just as important as physical and bodily health, if you will. So schedule regular checkups. You need to do small things like stretch in the morning. That can align with meditation and just waking your body up. Take 10 minutes to breathe and to scan your body in the morning for stress, and make sure that you're taking moments throughout your day to pause. We overlook some of these simple strategies that are deeply connected to having stability in our mental health and also strengthening our ability to be physically well. And I'm telling you, taking moments to breathe throughout your day, intentionally creating space to pause is an absolute must. I don't care if you're a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company or you're checking out clothes at the local Goodwill, whatever the case may be. Everybody deserves a time and a space and the right to be able to breathe anytime that you're out and about, and definitely if you're working during the day. So I also want you to think about this. It's time in this season to revisit boundaries. And let me just say this. Protection isn't just physical. It's also emotional, right? Who or what you allow into your space can and will impact and affect your peace. So I need you to hear this. It's 2 words. Adjust accordingly. Adjust accordingly. Reestablish and revisit your boundaries, because the things that were important to you most likely are still important to you. But as we said earlier, life be lifing. And sometimes we get into this space where we do this like emotional rationalization where we give up something for something else. No, it doesn't have to be that way. You can have your cake and you can eat it too when it comes to you and your emotional resiliency and your peace and your mental health and wellness, right? Have your cake and eat it too. And let's start that by revisiting our boundaries. I also want you to think about this. Again, therapeutic, wellness, coaching advice, if you will. I need you to practice proactive healing. Don't wait until you are broken to seek help. I know that there is a spectrum of listeners here. There are some people who are deeply connected to themselves. They know themselves and their mind and how they operate, and those cognitive structures and walls and gates that they have in their mind. They know how to close them and open them. And then there are some people who don't have a clue about who they are, what they stand for, what their purpose is. And you know what? I'm not here to drag anybody in the mud. You are who you are. Some of us are just more deeply connected to our inner self. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a place of saying, I want you to think about yourself practicing being proactive in your healing, irregardless of where you are on the spectrum of knowing yourself, right? So please, again, don't wait until you are broken to seek help. Therapy and coaching and journaling and even joining in community with others are all very preventative measures that you can put into place to care for your soul. So be proactive and seek out help and seek out friends too. The last thing I really want to say about this is often talk therapy is a simple strategy. And when we have a moment of truth and we know things about ourselves and we have a trusted place, space, and person that we can be vulnerable with and really let the tablet of our heart be opened up, that is beneficial, right? So don't neglect the power of conversation with a trusted friend or family member or spouse or partner, because communication is the gateway to healing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a licensed clinician who has a specialization in mental health or coaching or counseling or therapy, right? Now, if you are in a space where you are feeling like you are doom and gloom, can't get yourself out the valley, now, of course, that's when it's time to consult higher trained professionals to assist you in getting out of a valley that you may be in. But again, don't underestimate the power of talk therapy, which is simply having conversation with people that you know and love and respect and can truly be your authentic self and feel safe to process the happenings of your life. It's just that simple. This is the closing here. Again, I want to just thank you so much for your support of this podcast over season 1. It was so good. I cannot wait to jump back into a couple of those series that I started. The one that has been on my mind so much is my World of Work series, where I was getting real raw and honest about the world of work and how we have shifted our perspective on what it means to have a career, and we have to continue to evolve and change as younger generations are infiltrating the workforce, right? I'm going to continue that podcast stem, if you will, in season 2. And I look forward to doing that because if you don't know, I'm so passionate about career guidance. And again, finding and chasing and working in your purpose. And often purpose is going to be connected to our jobs in some way. So it would be foolish of me not to continue talking about the world of work and how we use that topic to continue to usher in conversations about wellness, mental health, prosperity, and purpose. So I love that one. And the other one that I did really earlier on into season 1 that I was looking back at and I really liked, that I'm going to commit to is the kind of current events podcast. I think I forgot what I called it. I don't have my notes here, but it was called The Good News. And I really, really like that one. And I'm going to do more with that this season, at least 2 or 3 of those, let's say that, because that series was all about bringing forth bringing forth news stories and happenings across the nation and the globe that brought positivity. We know that when you watch the news, unfortunately, it's rooted in doom and gloom and fear. And in fact, a lot of people don't even watch the news anymore. But if you whittle away and let all the dust settle, when you do watch the news, there are inspirational stories and nuggets of hope and resiliency in many of the stories. It's just that you got to listen to 55 minutes of negativity, and the last 5 minutes of the hour is what can be used to keep you motivated and connected and have hope in humanity. So anyways, I'm working through all of the news stuff. I'm bringing you some of the most powerful news stories that I think we can talk about and relate that back to mental health and turn that into continued lessons of learning and love for ourselves. So stay tuned for that. The good news segment of the Wisdom with the Wise Counselor podcast. I'm going to dive into that in season 2. So that is all I have for today. I hope our conversations today don't just go in one ear and out the other. I think through this new the structure that I have for these podcasts, I think it's going to be really good. The Wise Counselor Unfiltered is going to be a good segment where hopefully I'm giving you something that really strikes your heart and just pushes you to change or shift your perspective. I love the Reflection Room, where we create a space to really pause and to think deeply about some reflective questions. And then I really do, again, want to respect the scope and the knowledge of my listeners, and that I do want to bring some real therapeutic evidence-based practice stuff, concepts to this work that I'm doing. And so I love the kind of section B of the Reflection Room, where I'm going to start talking a little bit more clinically for those who need that. And again, no matter where you're at on the spectrum of in your mental health journey, in your clinical training, in your personal life, whatever, you'll be able to connect to these topics, because that's just who I am. I'm empathetic, and I'm trying to meet the needs of so many listeners. Some people who are truly in tune with themselves, and some people who just wake up and live life to its fullest and don't have a clue about their real purpose in life. So don't let this podcast go in one ear and out the other. I have to remind you, as I always used to say, and I will continue to say it, there is no time like the present to reclaim yourself, to pause, to breathe, and to ease into your own healing. I need you to protect yourself. And remember that protecting yourself doesn't mean that you're weak. It proves that you believe your life has value. And remember, you are the only one who is in control of your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions to what life throws your way. So stand in that truth and don't be thrown off by the authority that you have in your own life. Sometimes authority and power is scary to have, but you have that over yourself, and never forget that. And also never forget this: I love you. There's absolutely nothing that you can do about that. And know that I believe in you. And no matter what you face today, tomorrow, next week, next year, I believe that you absolutely got this. Thank you for joining me on Wisdom with the Wise Counselor. Season 2 is about to be epic with a capital E. Thanks for joining me, and be well.